is the Week 3 edition of Offsides. I'm Tom Hughes.
I'm Kevin Shaughnessy.
And this week we got the opening game, the New Orleans Saints playing host to the Atlanta Falcons. Last year, Atlanta almost beat New Orleans with Chris Redman at quarterback instead of Matt Ryan. Norwood was also starting at running back for Michael Turner. And Kevin, the Saints barely escaped the game from the 49ers. Atlanta had a big win last week. They blew out Arizona. How do you see this playing out?
I'm going to take the Falcons. I really like Michael
Turner. In New Orleans?
Yes, in New Orleans. Last week they played the Vikings. The Vikings held them, to 14 points, was it?
Yeah.
They didn't play that well on offense. Last year they scored like 44 points a game. They only averaging like 17 to 20 around there. I think the Falcons can take them. I know they lost to the Steelers without Ben Roethlisberger, but I honestly think that with Michael Turner, he's going to come back and rush right through the middle.
New Orleans is definitely going to win this game, I think. Who's going to cover the Saints in the secondary? Dr. Robinson and the other corners they have?
Travis Jackson.
And what's going to happen?
Their safeties are
seriously.
They're going to pass a long
And New Orleans at home in the Superdome, that's one of the toughest places to play in the league.
So is Minnesota.
And Matt Ryan didn't have a great game against Pittsburgh, and he was turning it over. And New Orleans is one of the best teams in the league at turning the ball, turning them over.
I know New Orleans is a better team on paper, but I just think the Falcons are come out.
Well, that's why I could see you taking Atlanta at home, but New Orleans is home.
ATL.
That's going to play the X.
They're going to run the Dirty Bird.
New Orleans 27-21. Then we got Dallas at Houston. Dallas 0-2 right now, looking like garbage. Houston, as big of a game it was for them to beat the Colts, it's going to be just as big of a game to beat their in-state rival, the Dallas Cowboys. Kevin, who do you got in this one at Houston?
I'm going to take the Cowboys because they really need this win, and Wade Phillips' job is actually on the line. They've been thinking about firing him because he's 0-2. If he doesn't come out with a win, they're going to go into a bye 0-3. That's going to be really bad, especially in that tough NFC East division.
Listen, I know Dallas has to win this game. You look at their schedule; they play at Houston now. Then Week 6, they're playing at Minnesota, a tough place to play. Week 5, they got a tough game against Tennessee. Their schedule's tough, but I can't see them winning. DeMarcus Ware's questionable for this game. Their offensive line, I think Mario Williams can take the game over. They just haven't utilized their weapons. Yeah. Des Bryant, the only thing he's done is had a great punt return. He hasn't been that big of a receiving threat. Roy Williams hasn't been doing anything.
Roy Williams hasn't been doing anything since he got there.
The Houston offense, they finally have a running game, too. And Mike Jenkins isn't playing also. Andre Johnson can tear them apart single-handedly.
Listen, they don't run a lot of man anyway. They run a lot of zone to begin with. Number 2, Arian Foster's not going to tear that defense up. That defense, the middle linebackers, and their linebackers are too good. Plus, with Jay Ratliff, one of the best D tackles, they're not tearing that defense up with the run game. It's going to.
I didn't say their overall offense could tear the team
Owen Daniels and Andre Johnson.
And the Texans' defense has been playing pretty good, as bad as they are on paper.
You want to flip it on the other side. You said about corners. Who their corners going to cover their elite receivers?
What have their receivers done so far? They didn't do much.
They're going to have a big game.
The only one who's done anything productive is Miles Austin.
Okay, and who's their starting corner?
Roy Williams
Jackson. Come on.
They beat
Oliver Quinn Jr.?
Listen, I know their pass defense isn't that good, but
they beat the Colts because
Dallas' one legit receiver right now is Miles Austin. Roy Williams has been doing nothing. And Des Bryant's had the special teams play, but other than that, he hasn't been doing that. Witten still, he's questionable with concussion.
He'll come back.
I don't know what's going to happen. What kind of team is Dallas? Are they a running team? Are they a passing team? They have no identity right now.
All right, this week we got Tennessee at New York Giants. How do you feel about that?
I'm going to take Tennessee because the Indianapolis Colts are one of the worst rushing teams in the NFL, and they were able to tear them up last week. So I can only imagine what Chris Johnson's going to be able to do to this run defense. I think that Chris Johnson has a big bounce-back game, goes for 125 or over against the Giants. Titans' defense has been playing great. They don't have a lot of big names, but their defense is always well coached by Jeff Fisher. Yep. They're looking good so far. I think that they beat the Giants on the road.
I'm going to take the same pick as you, but here's the thing. I don't think, the reason the Colts tore them up is because in the very beginning of the game, if you watched, their second D tackle was played by Kiwanuka. They moved it inside.
Yeah, they were going all out for the pass.
Exactly. This game's going to be a little different. I mean, obviously, Chris Johnson's a lot better than Adai and Brown, but they're probably going to look to stop the run first. So they're going to have a lot of blitz schemes. I see it being a close game because I don't even know who their starting quarterback is this week, but I'm going to take the Titans away as well.
Yeah, I'm definitely going to go with the Titans also. I think that they have a chance to beat them by 10 or more. The Giants did not look good last week. All right, Kevin, next we got Pittsburgh at Tampa Bay. Pittsburgh 2-0. Tampa Bay surprisingly 2-0. Nobody thought Pittsburgh could do this without Big Ben. So do you think they could go 3-0 without Big Ben at Tampa Bay?
Listen, I know I said that the Bucs are the worst team in the NFL. I'm going to stick by to that. They're really not that good.
And they're 2-0. And they beat the Browns, who suck.
Okay.
And they beat Carolina, who suck.
Exactly.
So how are they the worst team?
Listen.
They beat them.
They beat the teams, yes, but every week, like, look, the Vikings aren't the worst team in the NFL, and they have the worst record.
All right, but they're not the worst team.
That doesn't mean they're the best team if you have 2 wins.
They're not the best team.
What if they go 2-14?
The worst. Well, at this point, they're not the worst.
At this point, you can't say things.
They can beat garbage teams. They're probably going to go 6-10 or something.
But my point is that they're in the worst building mode.
They're worse than the Rams?
Yeah.
What about Buffalo? Is Buffalo better than them?
Buffalo's in a harder division.
But, oh my God. Well, anyway, the Pittsburgh Steelers are going to win this game 24-9 around there. Pittsburgh has Tampa Bay has no weapons at all. Pittsburgh is going to be able to dominate them, I think, on defense. Troy Polamalu is playing not at just a Defensive Player of the Year level, but at MVP level. I don't know who's going to start a quarterback for Pittsburgh, but either way, they're going to manage a game, and the Pittsburgh defense takes over this game.
I completely agree with him. I just, Mendenhall's probably going to have another big game. Tampa Bay doesn't have enough weapons to even compare to the Steelers.
But they're better than Buffalo. They're better than Cleveland.
Yeah, they are.
They're better than a bunch. You just said they're the worst team in the league.
Oh, I thought you were asking me my worst. I'm not paying attention because they are the worst team in the NFL.
Yeah.
They are the worst team in the NFL. I'll stick by that till the end of the season.
He's an idiot.
He's an idiot.
All right. Anyway, then we got Sunday Night Football. The New York Jets coming off a big win against the New England
It's the Jets who are going to win. Period.
Playing at the Miami Dolphins. The Dolphins coming off, they're the only team in the past year to beat the Vikings in the Metrodome. And I'm going to go with the Jets in this game, even though they have the issues of Braylon being benched and Darrelle Revis not playing.
And Jenkins out for season.
Well, and Calvin Pace out and Jason Taylor questionable. Because it's going to be a close game. Whoever thinks that the Jets could blow this team out are idiots, because the Dolphins have a good team. Marshall gives them a legit threat at receiver. Their offensive line is good. Henny's pretty good. Their running game is good. Sean Smith had a great game last week. He looks to be becoming one of the elite corners in the NFL the way he's been playing recently.
Is he still their nickel?
Sean Smith's the number one. He was great last week.
Not
Sean Smith. Vontae Davis. Vontae Davis was the one.
Yeah, Vontae Davis.
Yeah, Davis had a great game last week. But it's going to be a tight game, 16-13, but I'm going to take the Jets. Don't be surprised if Miami wins this game, though, and goes to 3-0.
I'm definitely going to take the Jets. Everyone says Brandon Marshall's a big threat. He had 4 catches last week.
He's one of the top 5 receivers in the league.
I know that. With the numbers that he has put up, he's on a run-first team. He's not a bad receiver. They're just not going to give him the ball.
Hey, listen.
Especially if you look at what Cromartie did to Randy Moss last week. After that, when Cromartie locked him down, he didn't get a catch last week.
He had safety help all game.
Doesn't matter. He wouldn't get a catch.
If you look at what Brandon Marshall did to Antonio Cromartie 2 years ago, when Cromartie was covering in San Diego, Marshall had 18 catches on him.
That was also on a better team than the Broncos.
Cromartie is so.
Cromartie's
not going to be able to shut down Brandon Marshall. Brandon Marshall is one of the most.
He'll get his catches, but he's not going to get 2 touchdowns.
He is way too physical for Antonio Cromartie. Way too physical. And there's going to be a close game. I got the Jets. 4 or 5 catches. Let's make that 8-10. I think Brandon Marshall has a huge game against them. He has a huge game against them.
Drop him off your fantasy team right now.
Yeah. All right, then Monday night we got the Green Bay Packers at the Chicago Bears. Battle of 2-0 teams in the NFC North. The Bears not expected to be 2-0. They beat Dallas last week. They got lucky against Detroit. The Packers, they're the preseason darlings of the league, 2-0. They haven't really faced a tough team yet. But how do you see this game going in Soldier Field?
I'm going to take the Bears. I know that the Packers have an all-around better team, better quarterback, better receiving core, better defensive back core. But I like the way Chicago's been playing, even though they got that lucky rule against the Lions. But I mean, they did beat the Cowboys, who were supposed to be, they've been a Super Bowl pick for the last 4 years. They beat, a Super Bowl caliber team. I think they can match firepower, especially with the loss of Ryan Grant. That really hurts them. Brandon Jackson, John Kuhn haven't been running as good as I thought they would. Other than that, I don't see them competing with them. It's going to be a 27-24 game. Bears.
I think that the Bears secondary isn't that good at all.
Besides, it's not even Vasher anymore.
And I think that Rodgers is going to be able to tear them apart. Jermichael Finley will have a big game against the cover 2 scheme that they run. The running game, it's not going to be good. The Bears' run defense has been great the first 2 games. I think that they'll shut down Green Bay's run game again. But Another X factor is Clay Matthews has been playing out of his mind this season. He has 6 sacks in 2 games, and he's a front runner along with Palomalo for the Defensive Player of the Year right now. And I just believe that Matthews versus that suspect Bears offensive line where Cutler takes 7-step drops, they're going to be able to beat them. Woodson forces a few turnovers against Nick Collins also, against a quarterback that will take chances. I definitely got Green Bay winning this game at Soldier Field.
The whole thing about Green Bay, though, I understand that they have really a suspect offensive line. Their line's not that good at all. But if you could see what Mike Martz did, Cowboys were getting at Cutler the first half. Just killing him. And then the second half, when they came back out, they switched that up. And DeMarcus Ware, Anthony Spencer, those names weren't even heard of in the second half.
DeMarcus Ware was hurt in the second half.
Okay, but you didn't see Anthony Spencer's name. I mean, after they realized that they were getting blitzed, the offensive line came together. Mike Martz is a smart man. I think we're going to figure out that blitzing scheme.
All right, Kevin, now we got the no huddle. Go through the games.
All right, first we got Buffalo at New England. Who do you take?
New England, easy win. They blow them out.
I don't think it's going to be a blowout, but like a 10
New England
10
blows
to 17,
them out.
Yeah,
New England win by 20 or more, definitely. I wouldn't be surprised if it was 30-40.
Yeah. Detroit at Minnesota.
I'm going to be at this game. I'm flying down to Minnesota to see the Vikings hopefully win. Percy Harvin's probably not going to play with migraines. Sidney Rice still out. It's going to be Adrian Peterson, huge game. He goes for 125 or more. And the Vikings defense is able to shut down the Lions easily with Sean Hill at quarterback.
Why don't you tell them the bet that you made? If the Minnesota Vikings don't win, he's going to stay there until they win.
I'm done then. I'm done with the show.
I'm going to take Minnesota too because, Detroit's just not, with Sean Hill, they're not going to be able to beat him, period. Cleveland at Baltimore, Tom?
Baltimore, easy win. Their home opener. They're definitely able to beat Cleveland with Seneca Wallace starting at quarterback. Baltimore, they allow less than 10 points. Their defense has been playing lights out so far.
I don't think it's going to be as a blow as much as you think it is. I think Flacco's going to have a really good game after last week. What did he throw, 4 picks or 5? Yeah, 4 picks. Career high for him. So he's going to bounce back this week and beat them but not destroy them. This week, now we have San Francisco at Kansas City. This is
Going with San Francisco. San Francisco's desperate right now. I still think that they're going to win the NFC West. They played the Saints down to the wire. Singletary's going to get it out of them to stop their run game. And Matt Castle has been far from impressive so far. So I think that the 49ers are able to win a defensive game.
See, I fell in love with the Chiefs after they beat the Chargers in that Monday night game. That was a big game for them. I think the Chiefs are actually one of the most underrated teams this year. I think they're going to be able to take the 49ers with Romeo Crennel as the defensive coordinator. He's a good defensive coordinator. And then they got the guy, Charlie Weiss from Notre Dame. He's a really good offensive coordinator. The coach doesn't have to do anything with those.
I like what the Chiefs are doing, but they have no passing game right now.
They can just run the ball.
Not against the 49ers.
All right, Cincinnati and Carolina.
Cincinnati is going to win this game. Carolina's looked terrible. It's Jimmy Clausen's first start. He has no weapons outside of Steve Smith. Their defense has been playing well. Cincinnati and a big win.
I'm going to go with Carolina because I think this is last year for John Fox and he needs a big win. I think that run game is going to be able to tear that defense up.
With a rookie starting?
Yes.
Look what their defense did to Joe Flacco last week.
I don't think Claus is going to have a huge game where he throws 4 touchdowns, but he might be able to throw a touchdown or 2, about 180 yards. He'll be decent.
Big win for Cincinnati.
Philly at Jacksonville.
Michael Vick starting. I don't agree with the move personally.
Me either.
But, yeah, Vick's going to have a good game against a suspect Jacksonville secondary. Eagles get the win.
I want to say the Eagles really bad, but the way I see them, they're really not good at stopping the run. And Maurice Jones-Drew is an elite halfback in this league. He can run. He can catch the ball out of the backfield. I see Maurice Jones-Drew getting like 2 touchdowns, about 150 yards. He's going to tear that defense up. And I don't think Mike Vick, I don't think he deserves a starting job either. But he has produced against the Lions, let's face it. Anyway.
And the Packers, even though they had a game plan for him.
Yeah,
it's not like Jacksonville's a defensive juggernaut.
No, without Campman and Mathis, they're really not good.
No,
Camp's
playing.
I said without Camp. Those 3 linebackers in the corner and then.
Let's go.
Hello, I'm the Asian Kid. I'm going to give you my top 3 fantasy performers of the week. At quarterback, we have Aaron Rodgers versus the Chicago Bears. I think he's going to get at least 250 yards and 2 or more touchdowns. At running back, we have Adrian Peterson versus the Detroit Lions. He's going to get at least 125 yards and 3 touchdowns. Then at wide receiver, we have Andre Johnson. I'm feeling 150 yards, 2 touchdowns. And my sleeper of the week is Fred Taylor at the Bills. Now I'm going to catch them.
Thanks for watching week 3 of Offsides. I'm Tom Hughes. Enjoy your week 3.